it won't be wrong if I start off by saying that V28 is one of the major changes that the US healthcare sector is facing right now, right? The entire landscape is changing in terms of HCC codes, in terms of ICD-10 codes, in terms of reimbursement, savings, providers. So, it's not something as simple as it might sound to someone. And this new change, where it might bring a lot of, challenges, it is going to bring along a lot of opportunities. So this change is basically, going to set a tone for the next 3 years, since it's a phase-wise implementation, right? And the basic purpose of bringing in this change is that the Medicare Trust Fund wanted to save, because since it's getting like, very costly. So the basic aim of this entire program is to cut down the funds that are being put into this sector, right? However, it was also aimed that the quality of care that is being provided should not be compromised. So by bringing in version 28, basically the plan is to save around 3.12%, which might sound like a very small percentage, but it translates into like a whooping sum of $11 billion. So when we say that we're going to save money, or we're going to, cut down the cost, it sounds simple, but a lot of work is going into it. And when I say what a lot of work is going into it, I mean a lot of training, a lot of effort. We need to train our clients, our partners. We need to work on our own platform. And since we're an AI-driven platform, so, we have to work in that angle also. So while working on version 28, we realized that, okay, if we want like a seamless transition to version 28, we will have to um, first study what is actually the core or the essence of this change, right? And how can we make this entire transition seamless? So to do that, we found out that one of the key components is basically to work extensively on the documentation, which we called the clinical documentation integration. So basically, when we are coding for any patient, when we're adding codes, we have to make sure that our CDI teams are highly trained. They know how to code all the diseases very precisely, very accurately, because only once that is done, we can ensure good reimbursements for our partners, right? You all must know that version 28 is going to, 2000 HCC codes are going to be decreased, and then we'll have like a whole constraining process for HCCs. So it has become imperative that all the conditions are correctly, accurately, precisely coded. And not only that, in fact, the ones that have higher F associated with them, they should be particularly focused on, because higher F means higher reimbursements. So yeah, initially it's like a phase-wise implementation. So for now we are going to use 67% of version 24 and 33% of version 28, and gradually we're going to, in a period of 3 years, we're going to transition to 100% version 28. And Persivia is trying, we're on the top of game. We're trying our best to make this transition as smooth as possible for all our partners. We're trying to make sure that the reimbursements are, you know according to our expectations. And not only that, we have to make sure that all of this is being done in a way that the care that we're providing, that is the quality of care is not compromised. Yeah. Like I just talked about constraining earlier, and I talked about the number of HCC codes being decreased. I talked about the ICD-10 codes. So that is exactly going to, affect the reimbursements, because now we have lesser ICDs mapping to HCCs. So lesser mappings, ICDs to HCCs basically translate into smaller RAF score, which means smaller reimbursement. However, despite the constraining process and a decreased number of code, we can still work on reimbursements. But in order to do that, we have to make sure that we are focusing on areas that still promise us better reimbursements. And how do they promise us better reimbursements? Because they have higher RAF scores associated with them. For example, arthritis is one of those areas where we have like higher RAF scores to associated this according to version 28. So if you're focusing on those areas, and if where are training our CDI teams, facilitating our CDI teams basically to make sure that those particular areas are very well catered, and all the conditions are very well coded, very well documented. Then we can really overcome this challenge.